Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer, and today we have the RockyMounts HighNoon FC 3-bike platform rack. We're going to take a look at how it fits our 2014 Toyota Prius V. Great for if you need to carry around bikes of different shapes and sizes and bikes with fenders. So if you and your two friends all want to go and hit the trails, you can do so with this bike. Now with this vehicle though, you do have some interesting ways that this works together. And the first feature we're going to take a look at is going to be our tilt-away feature. There is a handle underneath the rack, but it's a little further in. So I do recommend having one of your friends just support the rack as you pull the handle and it tilts down, just because it has a deep tilt and you don't want the bikes going towards you. But with that tilt away, you now have all the space between your hatch and your pedals and your handlebars. You can now get in there, switch out your shoes, just hang out and tailgate, grab your helmets and your waters without having to take your bikes off. It makes it a lot more convenient, gives you some time to just relax and chill and not have to think about dismounting and undoing straps and levers and things like that. This is fender capable, which is why it has FC, and it also can carry bikes of different shapes and sizes. Whether you have a carbon fiber frame bike, a step-through bike, a children's bike, there's zero frame contact. It holds it by the front wheel and the rear wheel. Now when we want to take the bike off, we're going to start here at the back. We have our rear wheel cradle. Notice how you just press this lever and that disengages the strap, so you can lift this up and out of the way. Then coming up to the front, you have your front wheel hook. And this actually has two straps that you would use with your fenders. If you have a bike without fenders, you actually don't need the straps. You can go ahead and take them off if you want to. So this is just your normal mountain bike. Once the straps are released, you then hold onto the bike with one hand, press the lever with the other hand, and then lift up and push out. Now this is where it can get a little tricky because you have to reach over all three trays to grab your bike. But fortunately, you have this tray style, so I just bring it over and we're ready to hit the trails. With the bike off, you can see the rear wheel cradle. Notice how we have different grooves in there. So your thin groove is going to be for your thin road bike tires, as well as your wider mountain bike tires. The maximum tire width you can carry with this is going to be up to 5-inch wide, and you do get a strap adapter for that. This does have a weight capacity of 45 pounds per bike. So if you do have heavy electric bikes, you are going to have to take that add-on off so you can go back to your 60 pound per bike capacity. So just be mindful of that. Now with this rack and within the 3-bike configuration, it does add some length to the back of the car. Measuring from our bumper to the end of the rack right over here, that sits at about 45 inches of length added. If you're trying to back up into a small garage or into a small parking spot, don't forget that number. Another measurement is ground clearance, especially since the hitch receiver on the Prius V isn't that high up. So measuring from the end of the rack to the ground, that's 26 inches. About 27.5 is how high you're going to have to lift your bike at the end. But compare that measurement to your shank. So here underneath, that's 10.5 inches. So definitely a shank rise, so your bikes sit higher up off the ground. This gives you more clearance between the different bikes, and you can also actually move the trays back and forth to get even more clearance. This can also fold up to be more compact. See this lever underneath here, which we use to tilt the way? Well, with the bikes off, you can pull that lever again, but this time lift up and against the vehicle. Let's take some measurements in this position. Plenty of clearance between our bike rack and our vehicle. Bumper to cradle is about 4.5 inches, so no worries about any contact there. Next thing we're going to talk about is the length now added to the back of our car. That's going to be bumper to end of bike rack, about 12 inches or 1 foot. So big difference compared to when it was folded down. I'm actually planning on driving around with this bike rack behind the car. And what's that going to look like? Well, Notice that with it folded up like this, yes, it's a larger and bulkier bike rack, but I still have a lot of visibility through the rear window. It does sit above our windshield wiper, but that's just gonna be that front arm. I'll still be able to see if there's anyone standing behind the car. Taillights are gonna be visible as well for your blinkers and your brake lights. Now for the license plate and backup camera. License plate is kind of covered, kind of visible. The backup camera though is really nice because it's offset to the driver's side. So see this opening right here? That's where your backup camera is. So what's gonna happen is when you go into reverse, you are definitely going to see the bike rack, but you'll be able to see past the bike rack as well for if there's any vehicles or people. Now I do have the 2-inch hitch receiver for the Prius V, which is why we can carry around this bike rack. There are 1.25-inch versions of the HighNoon FC, but only for up to 2 bikes. We have an anti-rattle bolt and a lock. I use a 3/4-inch wrench to tighten that anti-rattle bolt down so we have a secure fit. So if you're familiar with the RockyMounts monorail, which is a very popular bike rack, this is gonna be very similar, just with the addition of fender capability. So for bikes of different shapes and different sizes and different weights, this is gonna be a good option for you. Just remember that maximum 45-pound per bike weight capacity. If you wanna take this off, you can do so very quickly. Check out our add-on video for that. This was a look at the RockyMounts HighNoon FC 3-bike platform rack. You can find this right here at etrailer.com, and you saw this on my 2014 Toyota Prius V. Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or a pothole or driving over uneven pavement. Now lastly, we're going over some full speed bumps, and we can see here the up and down action, and this will just be like driving in and out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway.